In 1187, as the sun sets over Jerusalem, Saladin, Sultan of Egypt and Syria, prepares to reclaim the city, which had been in Crusader hands for nearly 90 years. His recent victory at the Battle of Hattin shattered the Crusader armies, leaving Jerusalem vulnerable and shifting the balance of power in the Holy Land. This victory wasn't just a military triumph, it marked a turning point in history. Saladin, known for his tactical brilliance and sense of honor, now stood on the brink of rewriting history. But who was he really? How did he rise from a humble Kurdish background to become a revered leader in the Islamic world? Today, we explore his journey from a young soldier to a leader who changed the fate of the Middle East. Saladin's early life and rise to power. Saladin was born in Tikrit, in present-day Iraq, around 1137. He came from a Kurdish family with a strong military background. His father, Najm ad-Din Ayyub, and his uncle, Shirkuh, served the Zengid dynasty, rulers of parts of Syria and northern Iraq. As a young man, Saladin joined his uncle on a campaign to Egypt, part of a struggle between the Sunni Zengids and the Shia Fatimid Caliphate. Despite being relatively unknown, he was appointed vizier after his uncle's death in 1169. In this role, he quickly stabilized the region and earned the loyalty of the military, proving his leadership skills. In 1171, Saladin made a bold move by ending the Fatimid Caliphate, aligning Egypt with the Sunni Abbasid Caliphate in Baghdad. This solidified his authority in Egypt and positioned him as a key defender of Sunni Islam. After the death of his mentor, Nur ad-Din, in 1174, Saladin expanded his influence across Syria, capturing cities like Damascus and Aleppo. By 1186, he had united Egypt, Syria, and parts of Mesopotamia, creating a powerful coalition. His rise was not just due to military strength, but also his diplomacy, forming alliances and navigating the complex politics of the Middle East. Unification of Muslim territories. After Nur ad-Din's death, Saladin seized the opportunity to unite the Muslim territories. He marched into Damascus, which welcomed him, and negotiated alliances with local leaders, positioning himself as both a protector of Sunni Islam and a stabilizing force in the region. His diplomatic skills helped win over many cities without bloodshed, but he also demonstrated military prowess when necessary. For example, after a prolonged standoff, he captured Aleppo in 1183 and brought Mosul under his control in 1186. By uniting these territories, Saladin secured vital economic and military resources, forming a strong base to challenge the Crusaders. The Battle of Hattin, turning the tide. By 1187, tensions between the Muslim forces and the Crusaders were at a peak. The Crusaders frequently broke truces and launched raids, prompting Saladin to gather a massive army. He aimed for a decisive blow against them. On July 4th, 1187, at the Battle of Hattin, Saladin trapped the Crusader forces near Lake Tiberias. He cut off their access to water, leaving them exhausted under the hot summer sun. Saladin's forces encircled them, gradually tightening the noose. The battle turned into a devastating rout, with most Crusader leaders either killed or captured, including King Guy of Lusignan. The True Cross, a revered Christian relic, was seized, further demoralizing the Crusaders. This victory crippled the Crusader states and paved the way for Saladin to reclaim Jerusalem. The recapture of Jerusalem. In October 1187, after his victory at Hattin, Saladin laid siege to Jerusalem. After 12 days of bombardment, it became clear to the defenders, led by Balian of Ibelin, that they couldn't withstand Saladin's forces. Despite initial resistance, they sought terms of surrender. On October 2nd, Jerusalem capitulated. Unlike the brutal Crusader takeover in 1099, Saladin allowed residents to pay for their freedom. Many who couldn't afford the ransom were freed through the generosity of Saladin's soldiers and family. His merciful approach, even to his enemies, earned him respect and contrasted sharply with the Crusaders' actions decades earlier. This humane act solidified his control over Jerusalem, and bolstered his reputation as a just ruler. The Third Crusade and clash with Richard the Lionheart, Saladin's capture of Jerusalem sent shockwaves through Europe, leading to the call for the Third Crusade. This brought Richard the Lionheart, a determined and formidable opponent. The campaign led to intense battles, including the Siege of Acre in 1191, where Richard's forces captured a crucial coastal city. Despite this setback, Saladin's troops regrouped, continuing to resist the Crusader advance. They clashed again at the Battle of Arsuf, where Richard won a tactical victory. But Saladin's forces withdrew in good order. Saladin's strategy focused on wearing down the Crusaders through attrition, avoiding direct confrontation when possible. By the time Richard's army neared Jerusalem, it was too weakened for a siege. In 1292, Saladin and Richard reached a truce. Christians retained control of Acre and access to Jerusalem, but the city itself remained under Muslim rule. Saladin's legacy and death. Saladin spent his final years maintaining stability across his realm. By 1193, he was exhausted from a lifetime of campaigns. He passed away in Damascus on March 4, 1193. True to his character, he distributed much of his wealth to the poor before his death, leaving little for himself. Despite ruling over a vast empire, he died with minimal personal fortune, reinforcing his reputation for generosity and humility. Saladin's legacy endures as a unifier and a leader who balanced strength with compassion. His reputation for chivalry extended even to his enemies, and Richard the Lionheart himself respected Saladin's fairness and strategic acumen. To this day, Saladin remains a celebrated figure, remembered for his impact on the Crusades and the Middle East. Conclusion: Saladin's life reshaped the Crusades and the history of the Middle East. From uniting Muslim territories to defeating the Crusaders at Hattin and recapturing Jerusalem, he altered the region's power dynamics. Was Saladin a conqueror, a unifier, or a strategic diplomat? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into history's most intriguing figures.